So getting a new job honestly shouldn't be this hard. And I know in 2025, the job market is even crazier than when I came out of school, right? So I want to tell you guys how I landed my first engineering job. So let's get into it. So coming out of college, I actually had no job offers. I had nothing. I honestly thought I would because I did what I felt like I was supposed to do to get a job. So I was actually very shocked that I didn't have any jobs. But let me explain. So my senior year of school, mind you, I'm majored in mechanical engineering in school. My senior year, I started to get interested in, like, I don't want to say IT because I was working IT a little bit before, honestly, probably since my sophomore year of school. First, I started off with IT help desk at the YMCA. Anytime I had a job, I always paired it up with an internship. If the job was paid, I would try to have some type of non-paid internship as well, just to get experience. And that was one of the things that really helped me just get stuff on my resume. So I had an internship in mechanical drafting, and that's when I learned I don't want to do mechanical drafting, which was crazy because I'm a mechanical engineer and majority of the times we go into drafting, right? I was like, yeah, drafting is boring. I went into like prototyping. I did a job with that at PCA, and oh, so boring. I was like, yeah, I can't do this either. I did like some different IT help desk type stuff, and that was kind of just like to just get me the basics of the computer, understanding the computer, right? And I was a student who said, I'm never gonna program. I hate programming. I don't want to sit at my desk all day and do programming. It's so boring. It makes no sense, blah, 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 which is really funny because I sit at my desk and I type away. But I mean, I'm not a software developer programmer, but like I can get down with it. So it's very interesting of how things turned out. But it also was how I was introduced to programming, which I actually have another video that I made. Like how I got into learning how to code and how if I was somebody who's now coming to learn how to code, how I would do that. So I'll make sure I link that to you guys. But yeah, senior year coming, I'm actually interning at the Fed at this time. I started off as a Scrum Master. And then I had an amazing manager. And she basically was like, if there's any other skills that you want to learn, any other tasks you want to take on, feel free to let me know. And she basically she just was helpful. She let me basically pick up other tasks that allow me to just like, get some skills. She was like, there was a project and it was like, oh, if you want to do it in any type of programming language. And at that point I was like, oh, I want to learn Python. So let me try to do this in Python. And I just taught it to myself. And Python was, and this is why anybody asks me what language they should start off with, I always say Python because I feel like it is the easiest, like the lowest learning curve, the best way to get introduced to programming because it just makes sense. It's readable. It's not like C, it's not like Java where when you're reading it, in my opinion, it doesn't look like English. But Python actually looks like English. Like, I don't even know how to make that make sense, but that's what it is. So, senior year of college, I'm going to career fair after career fair. I went to Bea, I went to Nesby, I went to Afrotech back when it was in San Francisco. I went to SWE in Texas. Like, I am going anywhere there was a career fair, I was there. Even the local ones that the school hosted, I was there. I was handing out my resume. I was trying to get interviews. And I will say that it was a little bit hard because when you're coming out of school, that's when they ask you about your GPA, which is so funny because nobody since then, I haven't had a single person ask me what my GPA is. But I did not have the highest GPA because I'm not a tester. I'm a project person, right? So I always excelled on projects. When we had projects, I did great on it. When we had tests, I would struggle because I also am not good at memorization. I don't like to remember things, but I can build things. And that's why I did mechanical, because I'm a builder. Like, whether it's like building some form of software infrastructure, which I learned how to transfer those skills into that aspect, or building things with my hands. Like when I was in high school, I would take construction class. I like stuff that you're building versus trying to remember something. Is just not my forte. It's not my strong set. I went to all these career fairs and I had interviews. That's the crazy thing. I remember at Nesby, I had so many interviews that I actually didn't have time to go on the floor of the career fair until the second day because I had so many interviews. I had interviews with Google, Medtronics. I can't even think of who else I had interviews with. I just had a lot of interviews and it was back to back. Man, I practiced. I had flashcards. I had flashcards all over my wall in my room. I made my friends on our drive up there, like, rehearse with me. Like, not only just the technical interview questions, but also like, you know, the behavioral interview questions. I had all of that stuff. Like I was prepped, I was ready. And mind you, these interviews aren't just one-off interviews. Every single interview with one of those companies was, I think my interviews with Google, I had overall, I think was 5. Yeah, it may have been 5 or something. And I still didn't get the job. So there's that. Like I had all these interviews and I didn't get the job for any of them. And people loved my, they loved my resume. They loved the skills that I had. But there was just something. And honestly, it all worked out for the glory because it all worked out the way I needed it to work out, because where I am today, I'm glad I didn't get those jobs. So I want us to remember about how I said towards my senior year of college, I really developed like a lot of other skill sets. Shout out to my manager then, because she just allowed me to pick up different tasks and just do different things. It was supposed to be an internship that just kept getting extended. So it was supposed to be an internship that I did before my senior year, and then they just extended it. So I worked it throughout my senior year and even a little bit after I graduated. Like I said, I applied to places, didn't have anything. I did get a job offer for a CAD, like some company that did some type of, it was like they troubleshooted something for like, you know, the AutoCAD stuff. But I just knew, even with the offer that they gave me, I knew it was like I think it was a less than $50K offer. It was working in Richmond. And I just knew that it wasn't for me. I knew that like the skills I developed, I knew that what I had, I was worth and could get something more. I just knew something was just telling me no. Even though I didn't have any other offers, I declined it. I said, never mind. So I moved back home to my parents' house and I just kept applying for jobs. Now, in the midst of me applying for jobs, 2 friends had sent me a posting that Raytheon was doing a career fair. They were doing like a hiring fair in Dallas. And I think it actually was for people who had security clearances. It was like you needed to have like, I think a TS or something, security clearance. And 2 friends sent it to me and I was just like, you know, I'm gonna go. Like, I don't have a security clearance, I don't have anything, but I'm just gonna go. Shout out to those 2 friends. The career fair at Raytheon. It was in Dallas, so I drove up, I go to the first table that was there. I think it was like, I just naturally went to the mechanical engineering table, even though I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I just figured because it was my major, it'd be easier for me to get hired for it. I knew that I wanted to be somewhere in the software world. And I knew that because honestly, multiple things. It was more interesting to me. It looked like there was more job security there, which it is. And then the money is just better. And then so I went to the mechanical engineering. They're like, oh, they don't really have anything that matches for me. They're looking for seniors, blah, blah, whatever. So I go to a software engineering table. They like my resume and they saw the word Scrum. Now, everybody right now has Scrum on their, like, it doesn't really mean as much as it did before, but they saw the word and they're like, oh, you know Scrum, you know Jira? And I had learned all that stuff when I was at the Fed. I'm like, yeah, I was doing Scrum Master at the Federal Reserve, blah, blah. And then so they're like, oh, hold on. They call up the manager and then the manager they're like, we want you to do an interview. And I was like, sure. And then I realized how all the other things helped me in that moment. So I had all those interviews at Nesby. I had interviews at Bea. I had interviews at Sweet. Like I just had all those interviews and I had practiced so much on being able to pitch myself. I had practice on my elevator pitch. I had practice, like I became very, very good at interviewing and it became just second nature. It became easy because I got so used to it. So when they said, we want you to interview right now, I said, sure. Why not? So I interview literally on the phone with the person, give the phone back, finish talking to the person who was there. And they said, we're going to give you an offer, not for the position that we came here to hire, because you technically don't meet the qualifications for that. But we're going to open up a new job rec. And when I say you don't even meet the qualifications, I mean, everybody there had a security clearance. You need a security clearance to be able to come. I just went anyways, because why not? Like, you never know. So they opened up a job rec for me, gave me an offer on the spot, and that's how I got my first job. I had my first job because I had the audacity to go somewhere where I did not qualify when it came to skill set because it was for senior level engineers and I had just graduated. Then it also was for people who already had security clearances, which I had not. And so I was like, I'm still gonna go. And then I left with a job offer. So that is to just say, go to these career fairs and continuously interview, because all the interviews I had prior to that literally prepped me and prepared me to easily interview, to talk about my skills. Because, you know, we don't really know how to talk about what we do. It's so crazy because you may be the best at what you do, but if you can't articulate that to somebody, they're not going to know what you do, nor will they believe that you actually do what you say you do. So being able to actually talk to what I did, actually be able to speak to what I've learned in school, and then also show my projects off, like show the different skill sets. And one of the things I was able to show, just being a mechanical engineer who was pivoting into like the software computer side, was I was able to show that I was diverse in my skill sets. Like, you got the best of, and that's how I pitched it, like with me, like you get the best of both worlds. You have a mechanical engineer who also is good at software, so you're basically hiring 2 for 1. That's kind of how I pitched it. And when I was at Raytheon, they got their money's worth, because I did do work in mechanical stuff. When they were low on that, I would do drafting. At the same time, still did some software work. And then that's another story on how I ended up using that into getting to systems engineering. It wasn't that I already graduated college with a job offer and I knew where I was going. It was that I was adamant about going to career fairs. I was adamant about going to career fairs even if I knew that I didn't qualify. Like, I would still apply. I had the audacity, because I was like, I know what I want and I know what I feel like I'm worth based off my skill sets. And it's not like a delusion thing. It's like, hey, I actually gained these skills and I know what these skills are worth, so I'm gonna make sure I actually get those skills. So that is how I got and landed my first job outside of college. My career from there to now has been a very interesting ride. It's been fun and I've learned a lot. So make sure you like and subscribe for more career tips, tech tips, and then just me breaking down engineering, technology, and showing you all how it's actually just not that hard, honestly.